Boom, we're live. What's up, everybody? It's Steve here from cinesportstalk.com. Another Shootin the Shi. We haven't done this for a few months since we were deep and heavy into the seclusion of quarantine. But we're back with Shootin the Shi, and this time around, we're going to talk NBA restart. It's happening. The second major sport in the country's coming back tomorrow night. But we'll get into all that. We'll talk about scrimmage games. We'll talk about what is the seeding games. Why in the world are some of these teams there? Some of them have no business being there at all. But we'll get into all that. We'll talk about who we think might be the MVP. But for talks about who's going to win the championship, we'll save that till after the seeding games, and we'll have another special. It's called Content, people. Content. We'll have another special about the playoffs. But like I said, I am Steve. I got Kyle right there to my left.
What's going on, everybody? It's great to have some basketball back. This is my favorite sport. Steve said number 2 major sport. It's number 1 sport in my heart.
I just meant it's the second sport to come back.
It was a dig, and I saw it.
Hey, would it be though? Wouldn't it be the third sport since we had hockey start today?
Oh, that's
hockey
right.
Hockey starts today. We don't cover hockey because it's just I don't know. We just don't. It's just not a thing. I mean, it's a thing. But Kyle, continue. I don't want to bash the sport of hockey, and then everybody comes down on me, and I'm on CNN.
Happy birthday to Dak Prescott and to Stu Gotts. What a great day this is.
Somebody mute his microphone.
Number 1 quarterback in the NFC East.
he's not the number 1 quarterback on his team.
What are you talking about? Oh, man. These Miami fans, let me tell you. But David, man, I don't think we've ever had a chance to really go on a show with each other and talk, but we both love basketball in general, man. I know you're a big Miami Heat fan. How are you feeling about this restart to the season coming up?
I'm honestly so happy about it. I've been dying for basketball, especially since at least the Heat kind of like surprised everybody with having, I think they're right now the 4th seed. No one was expecting that out of them. They thought maybe like 7, 6. So I think that they pulled out good wins. They beat Milwaukee. They beat Philadelphia. So when everything went down, it was kind of a bummer. But now with it back up, I'm ready to go, especially now that, the Marlins had to ruin sports for Miami.
What a bunch of idiots.
And then the Miami soccer team's like really bad too, right? Didn't they lose their first 5 games?
Yeah, they went 0-5. I mean, they didn't do that bad. They didn't get blown out. I think every loss was by 1 goal, but still too young, But it's promising.
Let me tell you, so back on our old basketball show, my co-host was a huge Miami Heat fan. I used to get on him all the time because the Miami Heat were bad last year. They just in general. It was more of Dwayne Wade's retirement tour, and I thought, like, you guys shouldn't even focus on the playoffs. Just enjoy his last season. You want to go out with a win. Let him go play a great game. And I was hard on the Heat last year. Let me tell you, man, this team is ready to surprise. I'm not a Heat fan at all, but I really love this team. Having Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero out there to shoot the lights out has really changed the dynamic. Jimmy Butler, who would have thought Jimmy Butler would have been the guy to change a team around like that? Spoelstra just kind of figures it out. But, David, you're the fan of the team. Why are they so good right now?
Well, I think Jimmy Butler's a really big key piece to it. I think on his other teams in Minnesota and in Philadelphia, his way of style of basketball, like, gritty, like, I'm going to go and talk trash to you. You better come show me up. Like, that is kind of like what the Heat culture has always been like. You have guys like Udonis Haslem who've been here since his career started. They're guys that are gritty and tough. So I think Jimmy Butler was the perfect fit for us.
Yeah.
And it showed that in the offseason when he was going out to practice, to start practice at 3, 4 in the morning. Like, no one else was doing that. So then, boom, then you have Myers Leonard starting to do it. All these guys starting to follow him because they know, we want to be good. We want to, change the culture of the last couple of years to move forward from Dwayne Wade. So I think Jimmy Butler's a key piece to it.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like the Miami culture is so huge because that's the pride they all hold. Like you said, Haslam and Dwayne Wade especially carrying that torch for such a long time. And I think it kind of inspired Jimmy Butler. They played with each other in Chicago, and you'd be wrong if you didn't think that rubbed off on Jimmy Butler in a way. He didn't want to go to Philly. I mean, we all know this. And they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. Come on, Phil. And Al Horford. Come on. So Steve, how do you want to structure this show? Like, how are we gonna
Well,
do?
I think I'm a little frozen here, but don't worry, the audio is still here. But you know what, it's interesting because now, you know, we can go and look back real quick at what we picked
Okay.
as far as what the NBA was going to look like this year. So let me just bring that up for a second, and then we can go a little bit further, dive a little bit further into this.
If I'm not mistaken, I think what I picked earlier is what I'm still gonna pick now. I don't remember what it is, but I got a good feeling. Where is it?
All right, so Kyle, you had the in the East, you had the Bucks, Sixers, Celtics, Magic as the 4 seed, Heat as the 5th seed, the Nets, the Pacers, and the Raptors in the 8 seed.
Nailed it.
Well, David didn't even participate in this, so David doesn't.
I think mine got lost in the mail.
Oh yeah,
I must have sent it to Scott. Oh,
no, you know, I did that on purpose. I tried to get myself to restart there. All right, and then in the West, you had the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Blazers, the Lakers at 5, because you probably didn't want to seem like too big of a homer. The Jazz at 6, the Warriors at 7.
I thought Curry was gonna be in
there. Yeah. And the Mavericks at 8.
Okay, so I was only missing Memphis. I guess actually that last spot's kind of up for grabs right now. So
super up for grabs, and we'll get to that. So for myself, I had the Sixers in the 1 seed because I just felt that this was going to be the year that they took off, and I hate all things Philadelphia, so you know, that was just me being, you know, Bucks at 2. I had the Heat at 3, Celtics at 4, Nets, Magic, Raptors, and then the 8 seed I just tossed in the Knicks because who the hell, you know, whatever.
Oh, why not?
Why not? In the West, I had the Nuggets number 1, the Clippers number 2, the Rockets and the Lakers number 4, Jazz, Blazers, Warriors, and Mavericks there to round it out. So, you know, that's the way that we kind of predicted it to happen. I had the Sixers and the Clippers in the finals. You had the Sixers and the Lakers in the finals. So what that says to me is that you thought that they were going to be a slow to build team, you know, coming in as what did you have them as the 5th seed, but also making the finals.
Well, here's the thing. Like coming into the season, I think Al Horford's the biggest factor here. He's a great player. He was someone who's coming in, joining this. You're getting rid of Jimmy Butler, but let's throw in Al Horford. He looked like they're going to have a pretty solid team, and he fell off a cliff. He is not playing good at all this year. It just doesn't work with that system. So yeah, Al. I think that's the biggest factor to why the chemistry is just kind of fallen off. Oh, look, it's Tim there. You guys are too young to look at basketball. All right, this is the best era right now.
Damn, I'm almost 40. That was directed at Kyle, I think. Almost 40. Oh boy.
Oh man.
Excuse me.
But yeah, the Sixers. I mean, if you always want to start at the Sixers, they've been probably the biggest disappointment so far this year. They should be so much better than they are, and it's looking like Ben Simmons is getting ready to start shooting threes. There's that video that went out there saying Orlando that he was going to start shooting threes. So we'll see what happens with Simmons. But Embiid, I think he's the type of guy too where if he just got his conditioning in order, which I think he's, you know, starting to get that mindset that he could really take off and be the best center in the league if he's not there already. But yeah, I think Philadelphia's just been disappointing so far. But I think at the end of this all, every team has a chance here. I know on paper you might be like, I don't know about this team or this team. You know, the Spurs don't have a chance, and that might be true. But this is a quarantine basketball game we got going on right now. No one's been playing for the last 4 months, and the scrimmages don't really mean too much, which we'll get into a little bit. This is anyone's game right now.
Yeah, and so you talk about the scrimmages. It's almost like summer league type action.
I'll chime in. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Kyle. My picks at the beginning of the season, I know they weren't on the site, but I was thinking it was going to be Clippers and the Sixers as well. And the Sixers have just been underperforming. I'm not entirely sure like what the reasoning is. You would think, with paying Tobias Harris and bringing in Al Horford, even though I've never really been biggest Horford fan. I've always thought he was a good role player, but not like a player to. I didn't think he deserved that contract that he got. So they have been a huge disappointment. And yeah, I think it's the same thing you're saying. If any team gets hot right now at the right time, they can definitely make a run for the title. It's not like how it was a couple months ago where you thought, okay, this team is going to be it. You're not going to be able to beat this team. Everyone has a chance now. Everyone's on fresh legs now. They didn't just go through 80-something games. Now they're fresh. They're wit, and then they're wanting to play. So there's going to be, I feel like, a lot more like intensity and fire on these guys.
I think that's what's going to come down to is a strong-minded player who's a leader, or just a really good cultured team. That's what it's going to come down to, because that's why something like the Sixers, I don't think they're a very good cultured team. They're not. Like, Brett Brown's probably not going to be there after the year if they don't make it to at least, I don't know, the conference finals. I don't know. I don't know at this point. So that's why I don't trust him too much. But you look at someone like the Lakers, LeBron is going to have his team focused and ready to go. Even like J.R. Smith and Dion. He has J.R. Smith, Dion Waiters, JaVale McGee, Rajon Rondo, like some of the biggest hotheads in the recent NBA history. I just feel like that he can get them focused, or someone like Giannis can get his team focused. Or I don't know, if you look at like the Houston Rockets, they might be a dysfunctional team. So it's kind of back and forth. We don't really know where this is going to go.
Yeah, and sorry about that, guys. But what I was talking, I thought that you guys were hearing me, but then Dave was like, "I'll go ahead." You mentioned the scrimmage games, Kyle, and it almost like it has a summer league type feel to it. What they hold in Vegas, and it that's the way it feels. And then you talk about the 76ers. It felt at some point in the last 5 years or so that this was going to be a team that had the good culture, that had the up and coming culture, the trust the process. They were doing things all the right way. And then something just happened, and it feels at least to me that the 76ers are going to start this bubble thing tomorrow, and they're still trying to piece together what kind of a team they want to be, which at this point is like a kind of a slap in the face to the Sixer fans that have been humming along, trust the process. Let's win 10 games, 12 games, and continue to move on. And they've improved. So credit to them, because teams like the Knicks just can't get anything straight. But I do want to jump into who's going to be playing, and what team. So you got the top 8 teams from the East, right? And so I mentioned at the top of the show that there are teams there that have absolutely no business being in the bubble. Like, why even risk it at this point, right? And one of those teams does happen to be in the East, and it's the Washington Wizards. And they're a depleted team. And why are we inviting a team that is 16 games under 500? And you don't got your best players playing. Yeah. They have zero chance. This would be the biggest miracle in sports history if the Wizards, even if the Wizards make the play, they're 5.5 games out with 8 games to play.
Yeah, it's going to be a big mess for the Washington Wizards, because even Bradley Beal, like you said, Bradley Beal is like, yeah, we have no shot. I'm just going to take the rest of this season off. Yeah, right. You're looking at also the Brooklyn Nets at the same time. The Brooklyn Nets lost all of their best players. They have nobody going. It's Orlando just easily is going to slide up into that 7 seed right there and be playing the Raptors in the first round again, like they did last year. With the reason why Washington is there is because of this system that the NBA set up, where the 8 seed is going to be able to play the 9 seed if they're within 5 games or whatnot. And there's definitely a chance for that in the West, or 4 games. Yeah. And there's a chance for that in the West, but in the East, you can't just say, all right, you 8 teams are fine, let's keep you in there. They had to include somebody, and I guess just Washington was the next one up. It's ridiculous. I completely agree, but that's why they did it.
Yeah. Who was right behind Washington?
I think it was like Detroit. Was Detroit there?
I mean, rather have like
It's bad. I know it might have been
10 seed
Chicago.
there, you know?
I think it was Chicago. I don't know. That the everywhere from like the 8th seed down in the East is pretty bad. They're really bad teams.
It's how it's been for years, though.
Yeah.
It's like the 7th and 8th seed are always under 500 and making the playoffs in the East, and then you have teams in the West that are 9th, 10th, and they're over 500. That if they were easily on the East, they'd be making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean the Hornets are the 10th seed, and they're 19 games under. The Bulls are 21 games under. The Knicks are ridiculous. Pistons, it's all a disaster from there. Cleveland 19 and 46. But one thing that the 76ers won't have to contend with, they're the 6th seed right now, and they might bump to the 5th seed. But they might even bump up to the 4th. It's only a 2-game spread between the 4th seed and the 6th seed in the East. So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that could happen. Do the Celtics overtake the Raptors for the 2 seed? They're 3 games out. It just depends on, what's going on. And then you got that cluster: Heat, Pacers, and 76ers all within 2 games of each other. There's no home court advantage. So it's not like you're fighting for the 4 seed,
Yeah, with the Pacers, it comes down to, is Oladipo going to play? And even then, they're a really good, disciplined team. Like they're always focused and ready to go. I just don't think they have the pieces to keep going. I think I heard something about Domantas Sabonis the other day, that he might be facing some injury or something. What's going on with him?
I saw it. It was a vague report that I read about it, but I don't know if it was a serious injury or what, or something that's just like a nagging thing. But the report I heard was pretty vague. But with the fact that there's 0 home court advantage now, the 76ers don't. 76ers had the weirdest split this year: 29-2 at home, best home record, and 10-24 on the road. And so that's a wash there. And does it help them? Does it hurt them? It's probably it's a coin flip for the 76ers. They might be one of the most disappointing stories in the NBA this year, because a lot of people had them 1 or 2 seed, top 3 seed or whatnot, and they just haven't pieced it together. And disappointment clearly for the Philly fans. Now,
I just want to say, it really says something about Philadelphia, how bad that culture is. When Markelle Fultz leaves that team, goes to Orlando, and it's revitalized his career completely.
Goes to your Magic, baby.
The Magic have a good young core with Fultz. Jonathan Isaac put up 13 points in 7 minutes the other night during a scrimmage in his first game back after months. So just look out for Orlando to at least win maybe 2 games in the playoffs this year. We'll talk about Orlando later, but yeah, I feel like that it says something about Philadelphia there, that Fultz was looking like one of the biggest busts in NBA history. And then he goes to Orlando. I was like, no, this guy's got a chance to make some All-Star games in his future.
It's unbelievable. The fall of Fultz. Let's talk about the Western Conference here. And so now you got 13 teams here. So Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets. I mean, this is Jazz and Thunder and the Rockets. Dallas and Memphis have the 7 and 8 seeds. So Portland and the Pelicans and Sacramento just 3.5 games out. Don't foresee Sacramento doing much. The Spurs are 4 games behind. Aldridge is not going to play. Popovich doesn't have that type of a miracle to pull out. Why are the Suns here? But
they cut them some slack like the Wizards,
right? Yeah, it's when the huge party going on and you get the last minute invite. It's like, here. Oh, by the way, here you go. You're invited too. But the rest of the Lakers are the cream of the crop. The Clippers are right there behind them, neck and neck. The Nuggets are great. Utah's
got some issues.
Played well, but they do have some issues. OKC, who knows? they could be a big surprise in the Rockets, Dallas. Yeah, you just don't know about some of these teams, and then clearly the Pelicans are they're in there. The entire thing here is kind of designed to get Zion to play 8 more games and win that Rookie of the Year. He is the odds-on favorite, though he played 19 games. So it's just it's crazy for that. The team that a lot of people are talking about to make a splash here is Portland.
Yeah, so Steve, I don't know if you want to bring
about that, Kyle.
Portland's. I don't know if you want to bring up Portland's schedule for these next 8 games. I love Damian Lillard. He's my favorite player in the NBA right now. I would love to see him get in there.
It's not all about Melo?
No, it's not about Melo.
Get Melo the ring, baby.
Yes.
I love Damian Lillard. I love CJ McCollum. Joseph Nurkic is back now, and he's looking deadly in those scrimmage games so far. I think if they can get within those 4 games that force a 3-game series against the Grizzlies, they could definitely win that. But Portland's schedule is deadly. It's really bad right now. So I don't know if they can get within that at this point.
Let me see if I can pull that up.
That's who I'm pulling for to make it into these playoffs. Not only do I want to see Melo, but I want to see Whiteside in the playoffs too.
Man, Whiteside, come on, man.
I love you so Whiteside.
For what? What reason?
He does it for his 2K rating.
Bro, I think there was the first time that we did our fantasy. It was either here or this other league that I'm in. And I picked up Whiteside, and he just did not play. He played 20 games. Fury. I have the worst luck in NBA fantasy. I had Blake Griffin the year that he got hurt, and then he he got into a fight in the locker room. I've just had some serious bad luck when it comes to NBA fantasy.
Whiteside didn't work for me this year, so I'm happy with him.
All right, so. Yeah, he's whatever. Whiteside, Hassan Whiteside, get out of here. What's Dugat say about Whiteside?
Overrated. This guy's a joke. I mean, listen, this guy doesn't even try. He was huffing and puffing down the court. He was on the bench, and the game was over, and he was just sitting there, and everyone left already. So this guy,
come on.
What a joke.
All right. So here's the Blazers schedule. They start off against Memphis, which is going to be a team that they're going to be fighting for. That's a big first game because they're 3.5 games out with 8 games to play. That's a huge first game. Yep. Then they got Boston.
Yes.
Then they got Houston. Mm. Then they got Denver. And Houston is going to be playing for seeding. They're that. From the Clippers down to the Rockets is only 4-game swing. Like I said before, in some of the teams in the East. Then they play the Clippers. Then they play the 76ers, the Mavericks, and the Nets. So they have one game where it's they're going to be favored heavily. The rest, I don't know.
It's tough. If you look at those standings right now, the Lakers are locked into the 1 seed at this point. Yeah. 5.5 games up with 8 games left to play. It's going to be impossible for the Clippers to catch them. And plus, with Lou Williams being a
stupid,
total idiot.
Put a Marlins, get him a Marlins jersey.
This guy. And he's trying to defend himself, saying, I've been perfect my whole career just because I will get wings once. Like, bullshit. Who's going to strip clubs during a coronavirus? Get out of here, man.
Okay, you've been perfect your entire career. You've done a great job, but it's the coronavirus. There's a pandemic going on, and you're at a strip club. Come on. And because you left the team for personal reasons. And Zion left for personal reasons. He did his thing, came back.
Yep.
That's a rookie. Freaking Lou Williams and the Marlins, man. Definitely get him a jersey. Ridiculous.
I think this is the Lakers, Clippers, and Nuggets because if you go down the line, the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, there's a rift there right now because there's a whole story in ESPN about it because Rudy Gobert started the whole pandemic basically.
it might as well call it the Gobert pandemic.
Oh my
They
God.
started off in the
I'll
NBA.
never forget the day I was at the gym and I looked up at the televisions and it's Rudy Gobert test positive. Trump's closing down travel with
Running to the
Europe,
back.
and Tom Hanks got the coronavirus all on the same day. Like this is the day it started. It was
It was like March 11th or something like that. It was
it was scary.
I was getting ready to watch the game, and then all of a sudden I see
Yep.
a bunch of players going to the back, and then who was it? Chris Paul wants to know what's going on, and that was it.
Yes.
Attention, please, fans. This game has been postponed. What is happening? At that point, baseball is a couple weeks away. You're starting to talk about the NFL draft. All this stuff is going on, and then everything to a screeching halt. And this guy is just going to strip club. Why is there a strip club open?
So what?
Because
And what are
it's-
the
because it's
strippers
Florida.
wearing mask? Yeah. Are the strippers wearing mask and nothing else?
Crap. Wasn't it in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was in Atlanta. And where did the Marlins go party? Atlanta.
How about that?
Hot man.
Hot, yeah. real Atlanta.
Not Spider-Man.
All right. All right. So those are the standings. As they are now. We're gonna go through the seedings here. As we go. So let's now talk about some of the things that we have to know. And if you haven't been paying attention to what's going on with the NBA, some of the things that might have just gone over your head. There's 8 seeding games. So every team is going to play 8 games. Do you foresee, is there a scenario where the Wizards just play 2 games, they lose 2 games, and they say we're done? Why take the chance?
Good, David.
I don't know. Do they have an option? I mean,
they could just
What?
say, they could all opt out, right?
I guess, but I mean, the way I would see it is kind of like how I saw with the baseball situation with the Marlins. That if all these guys are testing positive and stuff, obviously in this case they wouldn't be. Get your young guys out there and try to see who build for the future. See, okay, there's something here with them. Try to run different schemes and things like that. Why not prep for the future?
Yeah. All right. So just to continue along, it's all going to be in Disney World. It's in a huge bubble. Courts are laid out near each other. They got screens around and whatnot. Like I said, it really does have that summertime feel, to it. Clearly, no fans, just like in baseball. But the only difference is they're not going to have cardboard cutouts. It's just going to be no
Virtual
fans.
or something. Yeah.
Virtual.
Yeah,
Right, virtual. And all the different, they split up the teams into 3 different resorts. Of course, only the best. They're able to bring in, I think, up to 35 different guests. They can screen movies. They can. Don't feel bad for these players. is
Nope.
the bottom line, right?
Love to be there right now.
I don't know
I
how
would
some, people
love
have
it.
how some people have been feeling bad for them. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're right now in probably the safest place you can think.
Right?
Of. They're
That's
getting
what I
food. I don't know how these guys are complaining. They're at the pool hanging out. I forgot who was it that I was watching the Heat game. I forgot if it was Kelly Olynyk or one of these guys. And I'm like, man, Kelly Olynyk, you can tell he's been at the pool. The tan this guy has is ridiculous. I do not feel bad for these guys at all. Right now, they're living the life better than anything.
And then that report just came out today that for the second round of tests, nobody tested positive for the virus. Clearly, the bubble is working. How come other sports can't figure this out?
Well, baseball, you can't do the bubble. But if you just follow no other player right now is positive for coronavirus in baseball. The only positive test, and it's 16 of them, are the Miami Marlins. That's it.
The Nationals had somebody, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm talking about current. He had it before the season started.
Got it. No one got it during the season.
Exactly. Nobody else has gotten it during the season. So, and the Phillies are pissed, and I don't blame them. The group. I don't know if we're veering off topic here for a second, but did you guys see they got the group chat text for the Marlins? And they acknowledged that somebody tested positive, and they said, "Let's play anyway."
Well, yeah, I saw that they knew the one guy at the
Yeah.
beginning of the weekend
Urena.
was positive, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna keep playing, and then it was 4, and it's like, all right, we're gonna keep playing. It's like, okay, why was that not stopped? Why are they not wearing masks in the dugout? Like that didn't make sense to me.
You know why we didn't hear about it? It's because Joe Kelly tried to take off Carlos, and it was amazing. And then he got suspended for 8 games, which is so dumb.
8
So
games
ridiculous.
and not one. Hold on, this is real quick.
We can do this.
He gets suspended for 8 games. How many games were
Did
any of the
any
Astros
Astro?
suspended for?
Nothing.
0 games. And this guy is like the hero of the baseball world today.
Mm-hmm.
I love that he did that face. I loved it. It was the Mets whooped up on the Red Sox, but that was my favorite moment of the night last night. All right, let's go back to basketball. The seeding just works as typical, but there is a play-in tournament, and Kyle alluded to that a little bit earlier. So how this works is that if the 8 seed has more than a 4-game lead over the 9 seed, then that's it. But if it's anything less than the 4 games, the final playoff berth will simply go to the team. That's if. Sorry, got off track there. That is if there is a bigger than a 4-game lead. If it's less than 4 games, then they'll battle for the final spot. And the tournament will basically be a best of 2 series. The 9 seed will have to win head-to-head matchups to take over the 8 spot. So they'll have to play 2 games, which, again, this is in the wackiest year of all of our lives. The 8 seed could be ahead of the 9 seed by 3 games, lose 2 of them, and be out.
Yep.
The craziest crap is happening this year. Playoff format remains the same as typical. And then some of the dates for some of the things that we're used to having earlier in the year, NBA draft lottery is going to be August 25th. Go Knicks. The Knicks have been in the lottery since 2001.
I want to see how you guys are going to ruin that one this year.
The Warriors are going to get it and trade it to you guys for like your next 3 first-round picks.
Like, you hear all this stuff about the NBA rigging this stuff for the Cavs getting back-to-back or whatever number 1 picks after LeBron left. Throw the Knicks a bone, for the love of God. We're a team. The Knicks are a team that if they're good, it just makes the NBA that much better.
Tom Thibodeau's not the answer, man. How come no one's called Mark Jackson? Come on.
Don't get me started. All right. NBA draft is going to be October 16th. The free agency period will begin 6 p.m. on October 18th. That's when the negotiations can start. And then as of October 23rd at noon, that's when the actual signings can start. But of course, we always hear that contracts are being signed before that. And then what is likely to happen is the next season is going to start sometime in December. Right now, they're talking about a December 1st start date. But I think it would be pretty cool to have the NBA start on Christmas Day with those typical Christmas Day matchups. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Good,
I like it. Yeah, I like that idea. Just like when we had the shortened season a couple of years ago, started just like that. I had no problem with it. I think it's better for these guys. You have more excitement and you have everyone. I mean, on Christmas Day, that's all I'm doing, watching basketball from noon to midnight.
Open the gifts in the morning, and then at the NBA all day.
Besides us hardcore NBA fans, people don't start paying attention to basketball until Christmas Day. So it only makes sense for them to do this in the first place because then over the summer you're competing against baseball, and that's it because it's only baseball and golf just dominates for 4 weekends. That's it. So you can you have your NBA finals during the baseball regular season. That's just ratings gold right there. So I don't understand why the NBA hasn't implemented this already, and maybe this is the first step towards heading that way.
Yeah, I mean the conversations have been had over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years about not being up against the NFL, during the NFL season. And like we said, Kyle, a lot of fans out there, they don't, because, especially during the Cavs and the Warriors years, I was a disheartened NBA fan at that point because look, my Knicks, I ain't going nowhere.
I was gonna say, Steve, you've been disheartened for quite some time now.
I have, and it all started with Isaiah Thomas. It's, as soon as he arrived, I hate Isaiah Thomas. I hate him more than I hate Michael Jordan. So I really enjoyed that part of the Jordan documentary. But yeah, I mean, 50% of the NBA fans were like, "Oh my God, the Warrior! Why even bother playing the games?" But now there's a little bit more. Thank you. And so now some of the fair weather NBA fans are starting to be a little bit more interested in it because it's not guaranteed that one team is going to win the championship. You still have your elite 6 or 7, but for the most part, there'll be exciting games. Even a 2-7 seed. Imagine a Magic and potentially Celtic series. The Magic take a couple of games, and now you're like, oh shit, can the Magic actually do this? Whereas in in the past 5-6 years, no 7 or 8 team really went into it thinking, oh, I can potentially upset this 1 or 2 or 2 seed. It's not like back in the day where, and I'll bring it be a homer, the 8 seed Knicks beating the 1 seed Heat in the first round. You had to do it. Well, I mean, I'm just kind of showing how things used to be versus now. Yeah. Here's an interesting conversation that came up. Do you guys think that because everybody's in this bubble, all right, how do you think this impacts potential super teams as we move forward? Do you think that Jimmy Butler's like, hey, Giannis, how's everything going, man? Those conversations are bound to happen because it happens normally during the off season when people are just texting each other. So what do you think, Kyle? What kind of interesting conversations do you think are being had there?
Well, that's the thing. Giannis is the big ticket. He's the big whale out there that people are going to be hunting. That's why I feel like Bradley Beal should have gone to the bubble because he's also someone that people are trying to recruit right now. Get over here, come play for Miami's been out there hunting for these guys for a while. If Jimmy had one more person to that group, I mean, look out. So Giannis is also being recruited by, I heard, the Lakers. Chris Paul might be looking to get up OKC after this year. Where's he going to go? I can see the Lakers grabbing him. I just read some crazy report that Paul George and Chris Paul are looking to join the Lakers in 2022, which is, that's nuts to think about. Chris Paul will be super old at that point. But
I mean, you need some of that veteran leadership, and he'll still have some game left in him. Yeah,
he's definitely he's right now he's been the most impressive player considering where he was coming from. Like he was on the Rockets, and that whole dysfunctionality with James Harden, and looked like that he was just going to OKC to die out this year, and now he's got his team in the 5th spot in the West, which is crazy. So I feel like they've been the most surprising team. So yeah, he could always do something. I feel like tampering is definitely possible. It's gonna happen during this bubble. Who's gonna do it? I don't know. Who's the biggest recruiters in there? I know Joel Embiid likes to recruit. I know LeBron likes to recruit. So I feel like at this point too, Anthony Davis isn't leaving the Lakers. So there's definitely a bunch of things to talk about.
You know what baffles me, and it baffles me as a Knicks fan, is that why aren't there guys that are just like, let's go make the Knicks great again? Sorry to coin that. Sorry to use that term. But I think the Knicks weren't really. The Knicks were not even in, like, even if you go back to LeBron, you know, Bill Simmons talked a few weeks about the inside of that stuff, and LeBron wanted to go to New York, and the Knicks shit the bed.
Yes,
and Pat Riley put out the rings and all this stuff. The Knicks had LeBron James. The Knicks had LeBron James for 4 years. Mm-hmm. For 4 years, all we heard was LeBron's going to the Knicks. We had the New York put up big giant billboards and whatnot of LeBron. Do you remember Boston? You remember the Cavs and Boston series? And they were chanting New York Knicks. The Boston Celtic fans were chanting New York Knicks because they knew with everybody else that he was going to New York. Then he goes to Miami, and the Knicks get Stoudemire. Okay, he gets Stoudemire. They had a nice team built around him. They went to the playoffs. They won 50 some odd games. They finally won a playoff game after all these years. Then the next year they took out the Celtics and whatnot. And now we're back to it again, where these guys signed with the Nets.
That was the biggest kick in the ass for the New York Knicks, was because Durant wanted to go to the Knicks too. That's been reported. He wanted to be with the Knicks. But look who else is on the Nets right now. DeAndre Jordan. Who was on the Knicks last year? DeAndre Jordan. You don't think DeAndre Jordan was telling Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, hey guys, this place kind of sucks.
Don't do it.
Kristaps is on his way out of here right now. He doesn't want to play here anymore. You guys don't want to be in this shithole.
Don't get me started on Kristaps, because Kristaps was just a cry baby. You know what? He resembled the little kid that cried when the Knicks drafted him. Look. Think about it now. I mean, I know he's in a good situation now with Dallas, but think about it. This guy, you got this guy who's been calling Porzingis the unicorn for a couple of years. He coined the nickname. Imagine a team with Porzingis and Durant and Kyrie, and then like the Knoxes of the world who are coming up, and now the Barretts of the world that are coming up. Imagine that team.
That's all I can
do is imagine it.
You would also think of other people that would want to go play with them,
right?
Like veteran guys, like people would be like, "Yeah, I want to go play for New York." Like, why would you not want to? Exactly.
They probably would have brought in Chris Paul.
Yep. I think it has to do with your organization, man.
It's one person, and it's James Dolan,
who for a while was the worst owner in sports, and then Dan Snyder decided to say, "Hey guys, let me put my beer down for a team I kind of want to talk about that we haven't really touched on is the Boston Celtics. Are we doing picks right now for the finals? Are we going to do that?
No, we're going to do that. We're going to wait for when the playoffs start. We'll do a playoff preview. But you mentioned Boston, and I said Boston as the 2 seed because I think that they have every chance to leapfrog Toronto and then play the Magic in that first round.
See,
it's not a guarantee, but it's every chance possible.
I think 3.5 is tough to see Toronto losing in 8 games because Toronto's a really good disciplined team too. But if Boston, to me, they're going to end up playing Toronto in the second round regardless. It's going to be Boston
after Philadelphia.
Yeah, because Milwaukee's not losing that 1 seed there. So I think Boston, at the beginning of this episode, I was saying that the teams with either the strong-minded players or the well-disciplined organization is what's really going to show. And Brad Stevens is the guy who can get his team in focus. He's got a bunch of young players, really hungry, talented players in there. Jason Tatum was looking incredible going into yes, it was insane. Like even the Lakers, when they played the Lakers, they blew them out in Boston, and then when they played them in LA, they only lost by a couple points. That's the best team in the West right there. Boston, I feel like, is really going to surprise people and could easily go on a deep run here.
I 100% agree, because you got Philadelphia or the Pacers without Oladipo potentially. Because I do think maybe Philadelphia passes the Pacers, especially if Oladipo doesn't play. Magic are going to pass the Nets, and that you're going to get that not boring because
Can you imagine that 3-game series of the Nets and the Wizards?
Oh my god! I swear to God, don't you dare do it. But you're gonna get that first round of the Bucks and the Nets, the poor, depleted, disastrous Nets, and it's just not like people are gonna watch it because we all want to watch Giannis, and then the other big story is the MVP, which is the next thing I want to talk about. The MVP seemed to be a lock for Giannis, and now there's all this chatter about it being LeBron. And so I will tell you what, I don't know if you guys listened to Bill Simmons when he talked about this last week, and he's like, when did this happen? How did it happen? And he said he firmly believes it's LeBron drumming up the media in the bubble. And he said that, LeBron retweeted somebody who said, it's easier to do it in the East. And he retweeted it with like an exclamation mark. So do you guys, I know it boils down to what happens in the next 8 games. But who's your pick? We'll start with David. Who's your pick for the MVP? Should it be LeBron?
No. I'm gonna say I think it's Giannis. I think he's doing it a lot. Like, yeah, he's doing it in the East. LeBron had the same thing a couple of years ago. For how many years? He was doing it in the East, and no one said anything. It was like, LeBron's so great, all this, and he was winning MVP. I think Giannis is putting out defensively and offensively the best game out there. LeBron has, I think, a lot more help than Giannis does, so I'm giving it to him.
That wingspan, man, jeez. Please, Giannis, if you're watching, please come and rescue the Knicks. Be the savior. Be the Greek savior. Come on, baby. Kyle, what's up?
So here's the thing. Should it be Giannis? Yes. Will it be Giannis? I don't think so. I think there's a couple factors that play into it. Number one, Giannis won it last year. They usually don't like to do repeat MVPs. It's not about who's the best player. It's about who's the most popular and best player. It's a combination of factors. Who's drumming up the media? And I'm sorry, LeBron was primed to take over Giannis going into the pandemic because Giannis was hurt at the time. He was going to miss about 2 weeks, and LeBron was coming off a weekend where he beat the Clippers and the Bucks back to back. It was looking like the Lakers take the 1 seed. It was looking like LeBron has a prime chance to sneak in and steal Giannis' MVP, and then the pandemic hits. And I think we've just hit the pause button in there. And when you hit the pause button, you just hit play again once you get back in there. I feel like people are leaning towards LeBron at this point. Yeah, Giannis has all statistical advantages. He's got his team with a better record. They've been blowing people out for such a long time this season. Like, of course, his stats aren't as great as they could be, but it's because he's sitting out in fourth quarters all the time because they're blowing out teams like crazy. So, but at the same time, this might be LeBron's last chance to win an MVP, and I could see that playing into the votes. So if I had to make a bet, I think I'm going to put a bet that LeBron wins MVP.
It definitely won't be unanimous. That's a fact.
No. I don't think either way it's going to be unanimous. I'd be shocked, either way. But I love both these guys. These guys are tremendous players. I have, with the exception of the years that he came to the Heat, I've been a huge LeBron James fan. That is the only non-Knicks jersey that I've ever owned is a LeBron James Cleveland jersey ever, because I just don't do that. I've never thought about rooting for other teams.
You don't have a Tebow jersey?
I don't have a Tebow jersey. He did not make the roster. He's got it's just Tebow. Go call college football games, please. Do me a favor. But I just see a couple points that Kyle made. It's probably his last chance at an MVP. It is, as much as people don't like to think about this, it is a popularity contest. There's nobody more popular in the NBA than LeBron James. So while I think that Giannis probably deserves it, I don't think it's going to happen. I think LeBron's going to take it. And I kind of secretly want him to win so I can hear Bill Simmons freak out. on his podcast.
Well, here's another thing: is Giannis is going to win another MVP in his career. He's got plenty of MVPs in his future. Next year, you got Curry coming back. You've got Durant coming back. You've got all these guys fresh coming in. Zion's going to have a full season. It feels like it's going to be really tough for LeBron to get to this mountaintop again and play at MVP level with Anthony Davis, who could also be in that conversation again next year. So. I think the voters are going to look at that and say, yeah, Giannis, you won it last year. You're going to win it again eventually in your life. Let's give it to LeBron.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. But, if I had to vote, I'd go with LeBron because that's LeBron, baby. All right. So let's the one seed that's really up for grabs, playoffs or not playoffs, is the 8th seed in the West. So let's call a prediction on that. So you got Memphis, who has the seed right now. It's theirs to lose. They're 3.5 games up on Portland, the Pelicans, and the Kings. All three of those teams are tied. And then I'll throw in, just out of respect for Pop, throw in the Spurs. But out of those 5 teams, who do you guys think is going to be the 8th seed? So again, you got the Grizzlies, the Blazers, the Pelicans, the Kings, and the Spurs. It's
tough. I think it comes down to 2. I think it comes down to the Grizzlies and to the Blazers. The NBA wants Zion on there so bad. And I understand that, NBA. You want a 3-game series with Zion and Ja Morant. That would be amazing. And then a 7-game series possibly with the Lakers with Zion and LeBron. I think a 7-game series with Damian Lillard and LeBron is way more entertaining than Zion. I want to see that. I just feel like Portland's schedule scares me. It really does. If you don't win that first game against Memphis, I don't know where you're going to catch up to them. So if they can lock into that 3-game series against Memphis, then they have it, because you got to take 2 out of 3 out of Memphis. You can do that easily. So if I'm putting down money, I'll go with Portland. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to go with Portland.
Yep. Same here. Just like what you said, Kyle, that some of those matchups I'd rather see better than just Zion or Lonzo. I want to see, Damian Lillard and LeBron, or Whiteside and Anthony Davis. I want to see Melo on that court in LA. Well, not in LA, but against LeBron. Those are matchups that I would prefer to see now, especially since we might not get another Melo run.
Yes.
No.
What I really want to see in a perfect world is for the Lakers to lose enough games for the Rockets to get the 1 seed, and then for Portland to get the 8 seed, just so we can see Damian Lillard versus Russell Westbrook again, so Damian Lillard can crush him. Oh my God. That's one of my favorite moments in NBA history, is hitting that walk-off shot, just bounce back, goes bye-bye, and walks away, and then his whole team tackles him, and he just got that stone face.
It was amazing.
Yes. I watch that clip at least once a week.
All right, so we went through the Blazers schedule. It's a rough schedule, and this is the Grizzlies schedule. So again, the Friday afternoon, we got to get used to afternoon basketball during the week.
That's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be great.
Super weird. The only afternoon basketball is usually on Saturday and Sunday. The Knicks play the Martin Luther King game at noon on that Sunday. But outside of that, no. So Friday's game is a 4 p.m. start for the Blazers and the Grizzlies, and that it's a must-win game for the Blazers. Plain and simple. You lose that, now you're 4.5 out with 7 games to play, and that's just insurmountable. So they'll play the Blazers, they'll play the Spurs, they play the Pelicans, the Jazz, the Thunder, the Raptors, the Celtics, and the Bucks. So not an easy schedule there either.
If you want to talk about tampering, bring up the Pelicans schedule.
Let's bring up the
Let's see Zion's road to that 8 seed. I'm telling you, the NBA is playing games right now. Of course, ratings is number 1.
Of course,
the NBA wants Zion in the playoffs no matter what.
And also, when are we going to get to the Orlando Magic? Come on.
They're the
I'm not
only team with
Orlando.
home court advantage. They have
Yeah.
the only team with home court.
That's the thing. So I'm a Lakers fan, but I'm there chanting for the guy who doesn't have any fans too in Orlando. I'm just like, this team's not bad. Give him a chance. Like, watch the game. You got Vucevic. Yeah. All right. We do it after. Go ahead.
All right, so this is the Pelicans schedule. So they have Utah, the Clippers, Memphis, Sacramento,
There it is.
the Wizards,
Hey.
San Antonio,
Sacramento
again,
Oh.
and then the Orlando Magic.
I told you. It's set up perfectly for. No, maybe I should go with the Pelicans now.
You might they change your mind on the Pelicans. Go with the Pelicans.
NBA said, shoot, Damian. All right, the Blazers or the Pelicans? Who should we get in there? All right, give Portland, Boston, and Denver, and Houston. All right, who should we give the Pelicans? How about the Kings? Twice. Let's do it
Twice.
And then the
who should
Wizards.
they play after the Kings? Wizards. Give them one Wizard.
Man, total disrespect to the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have a 3.5 game lead with 8 games to go, and none of us are picking them to make the 8th seed.
You know what? They should have never been here, and they're way ahead of schedule for the future of their franchise.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I want to lose. I want to get in that lottery, get one more piece to pair up with John Moran and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Valanciunas, and then all of a sudden next year, look out for the Grizzlies.
Let's pull out the Magic so we can appease.
Orlando's got 2. I know they got 2 against Brooklyn, so they're giving them the 7th seed right there.
They might as well give them the Knicks. Let the Knicks play. Yeah. So it's at Brooklyn. 2:30 p.m. start time, sir. Sacramento.
Hey.
Don't though. First of all, Indiana.
Hey.
Depot. Then you got Toronto.
Okay.
Philadelphia, Boston. Hey, Brooklyn again. Look at that.
Look at that. I'm telling you, man. Orlando's easily going to take that 7th seed.
Yeah. And then New Orleans to finish it up.
Yeah, and then you got if they get that 7th seed, they're playing Toronto in that first round. Listen, Toronto and Orlando played in the first round last year. Orlando had that huge first game where DJ Augustine hit that buzzer beater, and the world was going crazy for them for a day. Listen, they're experienced. They're ready to get in there. They've got a good team. They got Markelle Fultz is like a good young team actually. Markelle Fultz,
Yes.
Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, who's very angry about losing that dunk contest still. Like really, really angry about it. So he's been working on his shot. Mo Bamba said he gained 28 pounds of muscle during this quarantine, which is insane. And he looks bigger too. So look out for Mo Bamba.
I gained 28 pounds too. That's really muscle.
You got Terrence Ross, who's one of the best 6-man in the league coming off the bench, who can shoot the lights out. Evan Fournier can get hot when he wants to. And then Vucevic, who's a former All-Star. So I think Orlando's just one of those very overlooked teams because they play in not a big market at all. But if they get in the playoffs and win a couple games, look out for them.
It'll be a good start for them. Get a little bit of playoff experience, and then take that next step forward next year, hopefully.
And I think they can definitely beat like a Toronto Raptors team. They're no longer relying on a Kawhi. They're gonna have to rely on a Kyle Lowry who has terrible game ones.
Yeah.
So they can definitely sneak up and take even the series or take it at least to 7.
In that series last year, too, Jonathan Isaac did not allow Pascal Siakam to do anything. That's why Kawhi Leonard ran crazy, is because no one could guard him. Now Isaac's going to be guarding Siakam again. Fultz can guard Lowry. Who else is left at this point? Serge Ibaka. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And then the home court advantage does play into it. Yep. They didn't have to travel far.
So, they should just have Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and all these, just out there rooting on the Magic.
Disney logo on their jerseys.
Two more things before we go. I do want to talk just real quick the opening weekend. So tomorrow night is a doubleheader on TNT. TNT, send that cash this way. Jazz and the Pelicans at 6:30, and the Clippers and the Lakers, baby. I am ready for that. 9:00 tomorrow night. And look, the ratings are going to be sky high. The ratings were sky high for baseball, triple, quadruple what they typically are, because we're hungry for sport.
They were sky high for the Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Phil Mickelson match.
Anything. Look at the Jordan documentary. And
Absolutely.
amount of people. The Last Dance. Screw you, Jordan. All right. Saturday, you got some off air games and some on air games, some nationally televised games. Magic and the Nets at 2:30, not on national TV. Sorry, Kyle. Grizzlies and the Blazers, 4:00. At 4:00 tip off, NBA TV, and then the matchup of the weekend. The Phoenix Suns and the Washington Wizards, baby.
Hey. Pair them together. Why is that again?
Because those are the two redheaded stepchildren of this playoff of the restart. So they got to play each other.
Booker and nobody else.
That should be nationally televised, man. That'll get.
Honestly, if you want to go back to the Knicks for a second, that's who they should be trying to court right now is Devin Booker. Get him out of Phoenix and go grab Booker and try to get Karl Anthony Towns out of Minnesota. Boom, there's your Kentucky guys back reunited in New York. Do it.
Oh, I don't know if Cat can. I don't think Cat is going to be able to deal with that big market New York, being on down his throat. I don't know if he has that backbone.
That's true too. Yeah, he's a very thin-skinned guy.
Okay, let's leave Cat there, and we'll just bring in Giannis. I'm a problem solver. I bring solutions. All right. The rest of the matchup for Saturday: Celtics and the Bucks. Great game. ESPN 6:30. Kings and the Spurs 8:00. Not televised. And the Rockets and the Mavericks 9:00 on ESPN. And then just to round out the weekend, just so we can include some more teams here: the Heat and the Nuggets kick off a quadruple header on ESPN. Heat Nuggets at 1, Jazz and Thunder at 3:30, Pelicans Clippers at 6, 76ers and Pacers not on TV, and then you got the Lakers and the Raptors at 8:30, and that's on ESPN also. Last thing,
David, how are the Miami Heat going to guard Bol?
But let's just talk about how the Miami Heat drafted Bobo, and then they gave him to the Nuggets. When I saw that they drafted him, I was like, all right, I like this pick. And they gave him up. And now what he's doing, I'm like, God. We really don't know how to draft.
You got Tyler Hero, who knows how to pull.
That's very true.
Yeah. Last thing that I want to talk about is, we've been dealing with this, racism in this country, and just to come out and say it that way. So one of the things the NBA is allowing their players to do, and I think it's absolutely fantastic, is putting social justice messages on the back of their jerseys instead of their names. So I'm not sure if any other teams have put out who's going to be wearing what, but the Boston Celtics have, and it's pretty damn good. Yeah, Jason Tatum wearing Black Lives Matter. Carson Edwards, Love Us on the back. Jaylen Brown, Liberation. Kemba Walker is gonna piggyback off of Edwards with Love Us. Enough, Freedom, Equality, Education Reform, Black Lives Matters. Enough, Stand Up, and Respect Us. Are just some of the social justice messages that are going to be on the back of the jerseys for the Celtics. Not to get political here, but what do you guys think of this of what they're doing here?
I'll go first then. I think it's great. I think this is what the NBA needs to do. They were having this debate going into it as to whether we should even restart this season because of everything that's going on. And then the players recognize that we're only going to have a bigger platform if we go back to play basketball. So let's take advantage of it. And you're going to see them do it. I know, just off the top of my head, I know Kyle Korver said he's going to be having a message on the back of his jersey for the Utah Jazz. So
Yeah.
A lot of players are going to be doing it. Look out for the national anthem for these first 2 games, nationally televised. I don't know what they got planned, if they even do have anything planned, but I think it's something to definitely look at. LeBron's been very outspoken during all this, too. He's definitely going to have something to say. You've had Tobias Harris come out and say, I'm not going to answer any questions that you want. I'm just going to say justice for Breonna Taylor, all these things. So you're going to see a lot of noise during at least these first 8 games. And then heading into the playoffs, you're going to see a lot of noise about this. And people are going to be angry. People are going to be mad. Toughen up.
I'm not watching the NBA anymore.
Politics have always been in sports. It's always been a part of it. I don't know why people are suddenly against it now at this point. Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest athletes of all time, was one of the most political people of all time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jackie Robinson, you can go on and on and on. Let these guys have their voices. Their voices matter just like your voice matters. Let them speak, and they're going to use their platform because they earned their platform.
Absolutely. And WNBA is dedicating the entire season to Breonna Taylor. And you talked about it before. Some of the conversations that were talked about as the player, there was a huge conference call with, the top players in the league, Chris Paul and all LeBron
and Dwight Howard are all in there.
Right. And they spoke about, we play the season and everybody's going to forget. So this is a way that nobody's going to forget. They Kyle, like you said, they have this platform. Use it. If they decided not to play, their platform would have been greatly reduced. People have been calling them crybabies and whatnot. I feel like this is absolutely the best route for them to take. And you mentioned Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard has twice complained about wearing a mask because he was in the lobby. I'm in the lobby. Why do I have to wear a mask? All right. Sorry. David, what do you think about the social justice messages?
Completely agree with it as well. I think from when this all started and everyone was like, oh, what you guys were saying, that if they start playing, it's going to take away from it. No, it's going to bring more light to it because you guys have a platform. You're being interviewed every single day where you can go ahead and, be like, okay, still go ahead and do this. Still have justice for Breonna Taylor. Like, there's so many different ways that they, like having the NBA back, that they can bring light to this and, it not go away like how it has, honestly, the last couple of weeks, unfortunately. It has to keep being refreshed, and I think this is a good way of doing it.
That's exactly. You just got the cycle just can't stop, So that'll about wrap it up for us. Unless you guys had anything that you guys wanted to bring up.
Happy birthday, Stugotz.
Oh boy.
A legend was born today.
Fine. We should have mispronounced some words in his honor. All right, let's go. Let's go round robin here, as I like to do after all my shows. Any closing remarks about anything you want, David?
I was really looking forward to Michael Beasley playing for the Nets, and then he got coronavirus, so I'm a little bit disappointed on that. So get well, Michael Beasley.
Former Nick.
Exactly. The Channing MVP for him in New York.
yes. Kyle.
This season's going to be completely unpredictable. Luka Doncic almost got taken out by a camera yesterday. So there's going to be a major injury within these first couple of weeks. And, it's just what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of unpredictable factors that go into this. So I think that just makes it even more exciting. And I can't wait to see how this train wreck goes. Although it hasn't been a train wreck to this point. Adam Silver is easily the best commissioner in all sports. It's been a very progressive league. The NBA has. They're the ones who started the whole closing down for quarantine in the first place. They're the ones who made it take us seriously. Now they're back. I'm here to listen. I'm here to watch, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and like we talked about a little bit earlier, the so-so fans of the NBA are going to be tuning into this. The ratings are going to be absolutely incredible. We can't go to any of the games, so we're all going to be watching on TV. And it'll be interesting to see. How are they doing? How are they doing the announce crews? Are they going to be on? Are they going to be backstage? Are they going to be? How do they decide to do that?
I remember hearing this days. I heard an interview with Stan Van Gundy. They're not in the room itself. They're watching from monitors from a separate room. So they're not on the court with the guys.
Yeah, and that's going to take some getting used to. Baseball, like none of the home announced teams are traveling. So, like for instance, the Mets were playing the Red Sox the last couple of games, and the Mets announced team were at Citi Field, overlooking a dark stadium, and they're watching the game. They have a couple different camera angles that we're clear that we're not privy to, but. It's just gonna take some getting used to. Mike Breen is gonna be Mike Breen. I love that guy, New York Knicks announcer. Never forget that.
In there. Rachel Nichols in there.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
what do you guys?
Interesting.
What do you guys think of that new camera angle that they have on the court?
I love it.
I love it too.
Here's Kyle, you listened to the Bill Simmons show last week. So the one thing that the NBA is going to have going for it that the other two major sports won't is that there's no way to say this, but just say it. There's no balls flying in the air that you would pan out to see empty seats. So like in baseball, foul ball, they show where the ball's going. Sea of empty seats except for the cardboard cutouts. Football, you kick an extra point. The kickoff where they usually show a wide angle and there's a kickoff and you see the fans going crazy. Not that it's going to take away from it, but it's just going to be a reminder. Whereas the NBA, you don't typically see too much of the crowd anyway. They're not really panning the crowd and whatnot like they do with the other sports. Where football, they're in the end zone. You jump into the crowd. They're banging in the on the end zone pads and whatnot. So that all of this stuff, everything that is going on during the pandemic is going to be interesting, weird, hard to wrap your head around. But it's good. As long as you're not the Marlins being dumbasses, sports are good. People are Bill Simmons says I was power walking around LA because I'm going out of my mind. Some guy coughed like 6 feet away from him. And he said, I juked so far to the right. It was like, Barry Sanders cutting back into the middle. I was like, I never moved that fast in my life. But yeah, so everything's going to be weird, but we're all going to be watching. So except for those that get a little too political when it comes to what's going to be done on the court. So that'll about wrap it up for us. We hope you stay safe. We hope you enjoy basketball starting tomorrow. Big Lakers and Clippers tomorrow night. Big matchup to start it off. Can't wait to see that. So we will talk to you guys next time on Shooting the Shit. Tomorrow night, Kyle, the Kyle and Jader and Kyle show, Kyle and Jader show, will start right around 8:00. We also have the Empire 161 show that's going to be on tomorrow. Not sure of the time there, but Kyle, anything going on for the show tomorrow night?
Yeah, we're going to be joined by Ben Goddard of the Schmodown as well. And we're going to be talking about the Matrix and breaking that all down and talking about the tournament that's coming up with the Schmodown also. So it's a lot of fun stuff. Our show's been really fun, bringing all these categories and having a lot of fun guests on, including Mark Ellis and William Bibiani. So it's been a blast so far. So please, guys, tune in. Matrix is a fun movie, so come on in.
I was about to say that did the Matrix win out there? Do you know who has never seen the Matrix?
Oh boy, let's see. It's Keith, right? It's definitely Keith. Oh boy!
Whoa!
That guy. Wow.
Listen, when I was growing up, I wasn't into the whole sci-fi thing, which is why I never watched Star Wars. I've since started watching Star Wars. Obviously, if you follow the post in the group, and Matrix, that kind of stuff, I really wasn't into it. So that's the genre that I just wasn't into growing up. But I'll start getting into those things. But Star Wars, I've started watching Star Wars again. I watched the first 3 a long time ago. Just started watching them again, refreshing my memory so I can continue on the trek.
If you want to get your family into it, I would definitely start with the Disney movies because they're the most accessible out of all the trilogies. I would start with 7 and 8, and then move into the older ones, and then finish up with 9 after you get the older ones done. because the prequels aren't that good. They're good storytelling.
I've already started my journey.
Hey, I was going to say,
I've already started my journey. I can't do it. Well, I went 4, 5, 6.
Okay. No, 1, 2, 3.
And I'm going 1, 2, 3, and then, which is another reason why Star Wars. It's like you with Lord of the Rings. The same way with me. I've never watched Lord of like those big movies series. I just never got into, and it's because of the sci-fi thing. Anyway, I digress. We will talk to you guys next time. Tune in tomorrow night. Yankee fan, watch the Empire 161 show with Tim and Ed. And if you're a fan of movies and a fan of just general movie talk and especially The Matrix, tune into the Jader and Kyle show tomorrow night. Special night for them instead of Friday. They're going on Thursday because I have no doubt that Jader has stuff going on. So we'll talk to you. It's been fun. Thank you, Kyle and David, for joining me. Shoot the shit on the NBA Restart. Peace out, everybody. Later.